Welcome friends to another r/EntitledParents video. My parents always taught me to be nice to others, and the nicest thing you could do would be to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by Vulnerax. Entitled Mother formatted my new computer and gave it to my sister. There was a computer in our home which I shared with Entitled Sister. This idiot, around the same age as me, used to download games and music from sketchy websites and flood the computer with viruses. She even deleted an antivirus program which I installed with the excuse of, it was making the computer laggy. She was downloading half-megabyte files which she thinks are songs and flooding the computer with malware. She didn't even comprehend a 5-minute song can't be around 500 kilobytes. She still used Explorer, which was filled with weird toolbars because of her. One day, I opened the computer and the poor thing couldn't even pass the Windows logo. Went to the living room, which Entitled Sister and Entitled Mother were hanging around. Asked Entitled Sister, what have you done to the computer? It doesn't even boot properly. She said she hadn't done anything. They come into my room, we try to boot it several times, nothing changed. Entitled Sister says, it was working fine when I shut it down last time I used it. And Entitled Mother said, you broke the computer, don't even try to blame it on your sister. I got scolded a ton, banned from using the computer, and they locked it with a password. Even if there wasn't a password, she wouldn't let me use it anyway. They took the computer to a repairman and they formatted the hard disk. Entitled Sister whined that she lost her files, which was Sims games and some dumb songs, and I also got scolded a lot from Entitled Mother for that. In the summer, I worked in a relative's shop and accumulated some money. I bought a netbook with that money and installed Ubuntu Netbook Remix in it, a Linux-based operating system. Didn't bother to install Windows cause I almost didn't do anything except surfing in the web. After a while, Entitled Mother came to me and said, why is that thing locked? Are you hiding things from us? You are removing your password right now or I'll cut down the internet. Apparently dumb Entitled Sister tried to use it but couldn't because of the password. You can't remove passwords on Linux, or I don't know how. Anyway, I changed the password to 1 and told them. Someday, I came back from school and netbook was missing. Then Entitled Mother came back after picking Entitled Sister from her course. I asked where my netbook was and she replied with, you broke it but didn't tell us, so we got it repaired. I tried to say, what are you talking about? Apparently a freaking idiot she is. Entitled Sister broke the other computer, which we used to share back in the day, by plugging her guitar into the integrated sound card on the motherboard. I really don't have a clue how she did it. And fried it. Or maybe she broke down the motherboard while trying to plug in the guitar. Those are my guesses. Then she tried to install Sims on my computer and failed since Linux was the operating system. Then she told Entitled Mother he broke his computer, but since he's too embarrassed to tell us, he's not getting it repaired. Then Entitled Mother proceeded to take the netbook to the dumb repairman in the neighborhood. That idiot installed Vista on it and deleted the folder which I named Don't Delete Backup for any case. Then I called him and said, didn't you see that I named it Don't Delete? And with an attitude as he knows everything, he replied, what you call a disk format is either FAT or NTSC, son. Yours was infected with viruses and called EKS4 or something. What the freak even is that? ext4 is a format which was used in old Linux. I tried to explain to Entitled Mother that it was not broken. She said I'm lying. I couldn't persuade her. Tried to explain myself for almost an hour, which was to no use. She said, as a punishment for lying, I'm giving that computer to Entitled Sister. Couldn't say a word. My brain almost froze. I don't remember a moment that I held myself to not cry more than that moment. Needless to say, being a parent like that is how you end up being elderly and stuck in a healthcare facility with no visitors because your one kid is so selfish that they don't feel like showing up, and the other completely resents you for giving the one sibling everything anyways. If you grew up with parents like this and then finally got away from them, would you go no contact and cut them off? Or do you think it's worth trying to fix it somehow? Let me know in the comments down below. And our final story of the day is by 21 Black Guys. I have autism and my mother got mad at me when I don't try and hide it. She thinks it's inappropriate that I don't try to act normal. For almost 22 years, I always wondered what the freak was wrong with me. At a very young age, I knew I was weird but had no idea what was wrong with me. Unknowingly to me, I have autism. It explains a lot. Why I didn't like certain smells, didn't like to be touched, couldn't make eye contact with people, awkward, and a whole bunch of other issues. I didn't know I had autism, but my mom did, and she never told me. My mom's a narcissist, but I love her. She sacrificed a lot for us to make sure we have a good life, but she did some damage. She is very religious. Like, she believes that sex is only for procreation type of religious. My mom's both Muslim and Christian, so she's very vanilla. She told me she'll disown me if she found out I gave someone a rim job. If she only knew all the freaky stuff me and my husband get up to. That's why I was so terrified in telling her I had an abortion. Heck, I was so surprised that she didn't beat my butt when she found out I used to do things for cash back in high school. Plus, she's racist towards white people and homophobic. It's just kind of annoying when you're bisexual and also married a bisexual white man. She wasn't homophobic towards me, but she did tell me that a so-and-so shouldn't go into a man's butt rather than a woman's you-know-what, right after she found out gay marriage was legal. In my mom's eyes, she believes that a man should be a man and that a woman should be a woman. So I was forced in the color pink a lot, and I would always freaking hate it. I have chromophobia. I would be terrified if I was forced to interact with the color pink. I used to throw a tantrum if my mom wanted me to interact with it. Guess whose room got turned pink because it was a girl color? I love green, but I wasn't going to have anything green because it's a boy's color. So imagine trying to live a life with a mom like that. She loves us, and I love her, but God, it was so annoying. I have moments of my mom breaking down a little tiny wall I try to put up to make myself. I would always sleep in my mom's room and never in my room because my room was a color that I hated. I hate my face being touched, and she would always touch my face. Nowadays, if a man touches my face, it starts a PTSD episode. I wasn't able to close my bedroom door as a child or lock it. I still have a bad habit of not closing my door now, and when I did, I got accused of doing sneaky stuff. Even when I told my mother closing my door made me feel comfortable, I wasn't allowed to do it. I put up with a lot of things. I remember crying to my mother, asking her what was wrong with me, and she just told me that people were born differently when I was having a breakdown, knowing that I was autistic. I can't read or write, I have dyslexia. And when I asked my mother how to spell a word, because I can't spell it, she always told me to sound it out, even though I can't sound out words. For example, if I try to sound out the word keep, I spell it with a C or a Q. When I try to ask for help in public, she would tell me that I would embarrass her later. Also, my dyslexia gets worse when my emotions get sky high. Then she got mad at me when I wasn't really social, wasn't talking to people, but I think the only thing that she was okay with was my pica. She actually encouraged me to chew on things because if I didn't have anything to chew, I would chew on my skin. So she got me a stuffed animal. It wouldn't look right if I had bite marks on my skin. But when I was 16, she threw it away because I was getting too old. I wasn't normal enough. Well, when I met my boss, my uncle-in-law, he kind of thought I had autism because autism runs rampant in his family and he can recognize the signs. He treated me like our autistic son, and I always hated it because in my eyes, I wasn't autistic. I say our because I'm a legal guardian and they call me mom, but I do appreciate some of it, like how he was very patient with me, he's gentle with me, always was my voice to share my true feelings, and my boss is the only person that can touch my face. I don't know why only he can touch my face. I think it's because I'm not afraid of him. Well, after my recent mental breakdown, and with all that stuff unveiling itself, my boss thought it would be a good idea to get me tested for autism, if I liked it or not. Well, we decided to tell my mother that we were going to do so, and she said, "Oh, you already have autism. We got tested you years ago, don't you remember?" That's all I'm gonna say about that situation because I'm still pissed about it. It explains so much about my behavior. For years, I just thought I was a freak, but I'm autistic, and she never told me. So why did I bring the crap up? Well, 1 month ago, my Oma, my husband's grandma, my boss's mom, brought things for the upcoming babies. They're not even out yet and already kicking my butt. It was so many sweet things. Blankets that she made embroidered with the kids' names and items that follow in the theme that we're going for. Then I saw him, a green triceratops. I fell in love with it. They tried to tell me it was for the baby, but I didn't care. The triceratops was my new child. I took it everywhere with me, and I didn't let anyone touch it, not even my 2-year-old. I never mentioned it before because the attachment I have towards it is unhealthy. I feel anxiety when I'm separated from it. His name is Eduardo. He crinkles, he rattles, and I love the freak out of him. My boss, like the good do-over dad that he is, got a dog harness for a chihuahua, and with that we were able to attach Eduardo to my pants, so I don't have to put him in my pocket anymore. Everyone understands Eduardo except for my mother. She hates Eduardo and thinks it's stupid and childish, but she let me be me. Until yesterday. I visited my mom because my neighbors were there and my boss loves my nephew. My 2-year-old nephew noticed Eduardo and said dinosaur like a baby James A. Janice. A little while later, my mom asked me to try on a dress, so I agreed. For a little bit of context, you can get into my mother's room by 2 ways. You can go to the kitchen, then go through the bathroom, then you're in my mother's room, or you can go through the bedroom door in the living room. So I went into my mom's room and closed the door to try on the dress. I took off my pants and put on the dress and immediately had to go potty. So when I got out of the bathroom, I went through the kitchen way, then I went to the living room. I was about to put my pants back on, but my 9-year-old started screaming bloody murder. While I was distracted, my mama made her move. When I went to put on my pants, Eduardo was gone. Sadly, I threw a tantrum crying and throwing my mom's things around to find a darn dinosaur. I checked every room in the house, but we couldn't find it and I was devastated. I panicked so much that I gave myself an asthma attack. We had to go home and I was heartbroken. I didn't take losing Eduardo easy. So this morning, I got called downstairs to find my brother. He then reached into his bag and pulled out my little man. When I had Eduardo in my hands, I started sobbing. It felt like being reunited with a lost dog. My brother found him tied up in a little black bag in the garbage, mixed in with my nephew's dirty diapers. My brother didn't know Eduardo was in the bag. My mom just handed my bro the bag and told him to take it to the garbage outside. Remember when I said Eduardo rattles? Yeah, my brother got confused when a bag of poop started jingling. He opened it to find Eduardo. He didn't tell my mom that he found Eduardo. My brother just put him in the washer, and today he brought Eduardo back to me. I love my brother. He knows I can't get a dog, and Eduardo's the closest thing I can get. Everyone gets it but my mom. I was sad that my mom was trying to get rid of him, and it got switched with happiness as I hugged the green menace. But my boss and husband were pissed. The next thing I knew, my boss was on the phone screaming at my mom. I haven't heard them scream at each other all that in a hot minute. The main thing I heard was, "What's wrong with you? Your little stunt made OP freaking lose their crap. Do you know how much stress you put on her and our grandbabies?" My mom said, "They're not your grandchildren. You're not her parent. You need to stop babying her. OP's an adult." My boss says, "That's funny. It seems like I'm the only parent she has in this situation. And I don't baby her. I try to make her life more comfortable after all that heck OP's been through. You of all people should know that." My mom said, "But she's an adult and married with kids. It's inappropriate." My husband said, "I don't care. My wife's happy and that's all I care about. Plus, the therapist said it was fine." My boss said, "I'm tired of your BS. You're on timeout for 2 months. Don't call or text OP in that time." My mom said, "You can't make those decisions for my child." My boss said, "Well, I just did." He then hung up the phone and took my phone and blocked my mother. He repeated that my mom's on timeout and that the time I need away from her will be good. I actually thanked them because I was trying to go low contact with her for a while, but I didn't have the balls to face our wrath if I did. That's all, folks. The relationship my mom and boss had is currently down the drain again. I have Eduardo back, and this drives another wedge between my family and in-laws. Also, if you were curious who my boss is to me, I started off as his babysitter. That's why I call him boss, and I'm currently married to his nephew. I'm the illegal guardian for his 13-year-old all the way down to his 2-year-old. That's why they call me mom. But my boss has been more of a father figure to me more than anything, and in the last recent years, he's got a more fatherly role. I started calling him dad more, and he called my unborn children grandpa's babies. He's the only dad I got, and I appreciate him. We have a weird family dynamic, but we'll make it work. When you hear this story, you can only hope that maybe that time off will be good for the mom. Maybe they'll realize that that relationship is worth so much more than being weirdly stuck up on some green triceratops. Maybe try to come to accept who OP is and bond with them, rather than trying to force them to be something else. Otherwise, it sounds like OP has good people that help them in their life, and if they have to move away from their mom because they just won't ever get over it, it shouldn't be too bad of an experience. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.